Okay, what is corrosion? We know corrosion, that is, if in simple words we are talking of corrosion, corrosion is just deterioration of metals. Or even if you want to do it in a more simple manner, then corrosion means eating away of metal on exposure to air and water. This is what corrosion is. Exposure to air and water. Right? Now in case of iron specifically, if we are talking of, because that is the most common example of corrosion. So in case of iron, it is known as rust, and the chemical formula for rust, that is Fe2O3 dot X-H2O, right? So rust, that is a powdery mass which is being formed when any metal, or when we are talking of iron, when iron it is exposed to air and water. This is a very big commercial waste for the country and also damages many properties like buildings, dams, all these they can be damaged on the basis of formation of rust, right? So this basically, when we are talking of rust, then we say that the rust, formation of rust is a chemical process, and if you are talking of mechanism of rusting, we say that in case of rusting, small voltaic cells, they are set up at the strain of the metal. What do you understand by strain of the metal is that, like for example, when you see a nail getting rusted, you would observe that first of all the head or the tip of the nail that gets rusted. That is the strain, the area which is most exposed to the air and water. Similarly, when you are talking of railings which you have in the buildings, you will see that the areas where the joints are present, they get rusted first. Okay, so this mechanism of rusting is only due to presence of or building up of voltaic cells which are built on the strains or the joints of any iron material. Okay, so let's understand basically what is happening over here. We say that the mechanism of rusting, that is given by a theory which is known as theory of rusting. Okay, so you can write down, according to this theory, also known as electrochemical theory. According to this theory, also known as electrochemical theory, the process of rusting is explained. The process of rusting is explained on the basis of formation of electrochemical cell, on the surface of iron. So if we are talking of, let's take a block of iron over here. This is the block of iron, right? And on it there is a drop of water. So we are showing the drop of water like this. The iron bar or the iron over here, that is going to behave as anode, right? So iron mein kya hoga? Oxidation is going to take place. Fe is going to lose 2 electrons to give us Fe2 positive, right? And the water droplet over here plus impurities, they are going to behave as cathode. So water droplet has hydrogen, okay, and it takes oxygen from the atmosphere minus 4 electrons to give us 2H2O, which is water. Then we will see, when we are doing the mechanism and the stepwise progression of rusting, we would see that this water ultimately gets combined with the Fe2 positive over here and forms rust. Okay, so this water drop and the impurities, that is going to behave as cathode. In an electrochemical cell, that we know that electrons, they flow from the anode to the cathode. So over here also there is going to be a flow of electrons from the anode to the cathode in a similar way as what is happening in electrochemical cell, right? And finally there is going to be deposition of a brown material over here, which is the chemical formula Fe2O3.XH2O, which is rust. So let's see what are the steps over here which are going to progress towards rusting. The first step is that water which is present, step 1, water which is present, it reacts with carbon dioxide of the atmosphere to produce an acid which is carbonic acid. Okay? So this is the first step. Thus the surface of iron, that is covered by aqueous solution now. Okay? It is covered by aqueous solution of carbonic acid. In this carbonic acid, that dissociates into hydrogen ions and carbonate ions. And also we are getting hydrogen ions from water. So water droplet also is dissociating at the same time to give us H positive and OH negative. So you can see over here that the concentration of H positive ions is formed due to dissociation of the carbonic acid and dissociation of water, right? Then let's see what is happening in the second step. In the second step, Fe that gets oxidized to Fe2 positive by losing 2 electrons. So this is the second step, right? And as I have already told you that this oxidation will take place best at the strain, right? Wherever there is a strain present, so like we have taken the example of nail, it will corrode first at the tip or at the head, where maximum strain is present, right? Then in the third step, we now have Fe2 positive and we also have H positive. So electrons, they are going to flow from the anode to the cathode such that oxygen that reacts with water and the electrons which are released by the anode, they are taken up over here to give us hydroxyl ions, 4OH negative, right? Now this process of reduction, it involves the following 2 steps. This is reduction happening over here. So this process of reduction, it is going to include 2 steps. The first step is the reduction of hydrogen to give us nascent hydrogen, right? Over here, let's say this is step 1. Okay, this is the first reaction. Then we have the second reaction is this. Okay, and in the second step, oxygen from the atmosphere that will react with hydrogen ions and plus gain 4 electrons to give us 2H2O, water. Okay, so let's say that this is your third step. इससे पहले भी एक step है. Wait. The third step over here, that is going to be which one? The nascent hydrogen which is formed over here, 4H plus O2. This is going to give us 2H2O. Let's say this is step 3, and then the fourth step which we have just written in which oxygen also reacts with plus 4 electrons to give us 2H2O. Okay, so let's say that this is the fourth step. So now in the reaction we have how many equations? The first equation is this. Fe is being oxidized to Fe2 positive. The second equation is this. H positive plus 1 electron to give hydrogen and hydrogen plus O2 to give 2H2O. Right? And then henceforth O2 plus 4H positive from here, that also is going to liberate water. So we have 4 steps in the reaction. Now when we are talking of these all the 4 steps, let's add equation 1 and equation 4. Equation 1 is this and equation 4 is this. So if you add both the equations, what will you get? You have to balance the electrons. There are 4 electrons over here, there are 2 electrons over here. So we multiply this equation by 2. Okay? Looking at the first reaction and the fourth reaction. Fourth reaction में there are 4 electron exchange which is taking place. और यहाँ पे हमको उसको balance करना है. So we are multiplying equation 1 with 2. When we multiply with 2, we will have 2 Fe. 4 electrons and 4 electrons over here get cancelled. ठीक है? Plus O2 plus 4H positive to give us 2 Fe2 positive plus 2H2O. This is the reaction which we are going to get over here. 4H. ठीक है? So we are getting 2 Fe plus O2 plus 4H positive to give us 2 Fe2 positive plus 2H2O. Right? This is the reaction which we are getting over here. Now ferrous formed in the previous steps reacts with dissolved oxygen. Fe2 positive which is formed in the step over here, that is going to dissolve with oxygen in aqueous solution. So this is the fourth step of the reaction. We are saying that Fe2 positive, that is reacting with oxygen in the presence of hydrogen to give us 2 Fe2O3, right? And with that we are going to get 4H2O. With water, I said na, with water. 4H2O to give us 2 Fe2O3 plus 8H positive. So this reaction is balanced now. 4 Fe2 positive plus O2 plus 4H2O to give 2 Fe2O3 plus 8H positive. Right? So this is the reaction which we get over here, and the Fe2O3 which is formed in this further reacts with X molecules of water to give us .XH2O, which is rust. Right? So you just see all the steps once again. In the first step which we did, we said that the carbon dioxide, I am writing the first step over here, carbon dioxide that reacts with water to give us H2CO3. Okay? This H2CO3 that dissociates to give us 2H positive plus CO3 2 negative. Okay? Also we are getting H positive ions with dissociation of this thing to give us H positive plus OH negative. This is the first step. Now in the second step, this step that is occurring at the cathode. Okay? In the second step, in case of anode, Fe that is going to lose 2 electrons to give us Fe2 positive. In the third step, oxygen reacts with water to give us 4OH negative. Now this reaction can occur in 2 different steps. Okay? So we have H positive plus 1 electron to give hydrogen, then 4 hydrogen and O2 to give us 2H2O. This 2H2O is used over here. Right? फिर उसके बाद O2 also reacts with 4H positive. अच्छा, this we've done. then 2Fe, we are adding equation number 1 and equation number 4. So as to get 2Fe plus O2 plus 4H positive to give us 2Fe2 positive plus water. Okay? And then in the fourth step, the Fe2 positive which is formed in the first step, that reacts with oxygen and water to give us Fe2O3, which further reacts with water to give rust. All these equations, they are important towards the progression of the formation of rust. Okay, now what are the factors which are going to affect corrosion? Factors affecting corrosion. Factors affecting corrosion. The first factor which is going to affect corrosion is the standard reduction potential. The value of standard reduction potential. The more active metals means all the metals having greater negative value of reduction potentials, they get corroded first. Like for example, if we are talking of iron, the value of iron, that is E0 for iron, that is equal to minus 0.44 volt, right? Whereas that for zinc, that is equal to minus 0.76 volt. Okay, so over here zinc has a higher negative value of reduction potential, therefore zinc is going to be corroded before iron. And this is the main you can say principle which we are using in galvanization, which we would discuss later. So the value of standard reduction potential has a great impact on the corrosion of any metal, right? Then the second factor is strain. This also I have already discussed with you, that the area of more strain, right? Now where are the area of strain? It can be on the tips, or it can be at the joints, or it can be on the bends. So all these area, that is the tips, bends and joints, they get corroded first. Clear? Then number 3, it depends upon impurity of the metal. The impurities which are present on the metals, they help in setting up a voltaic cell, right? More the impurities, because we have just seen in the mechanism of rusting that the impurities, they form the cathode of the voltaic cell. So more the impurities, more active is going to be the cathode, and hence more is going to be the corrosion, right? So pure iron, if we are taking pure iron, it does not get corroded at all. Okay, but because of the impurities, the voltaic cells, they are set up, and hence corrosion that takes place. Then number 5, pollution. Number 4, pollution also helps in corrosion. If there is, in certain areas, if there is more quantity of pollutants like sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, these pollutants, they again help in the setting up of voltaic cells on the surface of the metal, and hence corrosion takes place faster. ठीक है? फिर उसके बाद we have salinity and corrosion. You will see that if you are taking 2 beakers, in one of the beakers you are taking a saline solution. Saline solution is NaCl plus water, and in the other one you are taking only water, right? So over here in the salt solution, the rusting of iron will take faster than in pure water, because salt helps in movement of ions quicker than in pure water. Okay, so because in salt solution the iron the ions, they are moving more quickly, as a result of which the process of rusting will be faster, right? Then prevention of rusting. How can we prevention of rusting? How can we prevent rust? First of all, we can prevent rust by using anti-rust solutions. By using anti-rust solutions, right? What are anti-rust solutions? They are generally alkaline phosphates and alkaline chromate solutions. Alkaline phosphates and alkaline chromate solutions, which are generally used as anti-rust solutions. Alkaline phosphates, basically what they do is that they form a protective film on the surface of the iron. As a result of which, the impurities from the air and water, they are unable to attack on iron, and hence the rusting can be prevented. Okay? So this is the first method. Then the second method. The second method is barrier protection. Barrier protection means what? Barrier protection means that we are applying a barrier on the surface of iron, as a result of which air and water, they cannot attack on the surface. So barrier protection mein what do we have? For example, we can put oil paints by painting, or in other words, right? So painting is going to make iron unavailable for water and air, and hence rust cannot take place, right? Then number 2 is by oiling the surface. Oil also prevents the action of water on the surface of iron, hence that is also going to prevent rusting. Then number 3, we do a special kind of plating which is known as nichrome plating, right? Nichrome over here, that is an alloy of nickel and chromium, right? Nichrome plating, this also acts a barrier which does not allow water and air to act on iron. And then number 4, bisphenol is also used. Bisphenol is a chemical which can be used for coating the surface of iron so as to reduce the process of rusting. So this is barrier protection. Then the third one is sacrificial protection. Sacrificial protection. Sacrificial protection may the more active metal that is sacrificed instead of iron, because iron is a commercially very important metal. So we coat that metal with some other metal which is more active, and hence in return that metal that is corroded and iron that is safe. That is how the word sacrificial comes, right? For this we can, the most common process which we have over here which is galvanization. Galvanization is coating with zinc. ठीक है? Coating with zinc. This is known as galvanization. Sometimes the iron surface that is also coated with zinc, with tin. It is also coated with tin, and this process is known as tinning. ठीक है? So tin के साथ करते हैं, but this method is not as effective as galvanization. Galvanization is a more common method and a more effective method. So generally we only do galvanization. ठीक है? फिर उसके बाद Number 4, that is electrical or cathodic protection. Number 4, electrical or cathodic protection. This method is used for underground pipes. Underground pipes, otherwise for which every time rust happens in the underground pipes, you have to dig the road, take out the pipes and replace them. So this method protects us from doing that. Okay, so what are we doing in this method is buried steel pipe होती है, that is connected to a more active metal, connected to a more active metal like magnesium. Okay, so the steel pipe that is connected to magnesium, the active metal becomes the anode. So we are saying that Ag over here, that is going to become the anode, and the iron that becomes the cathode. Now when a voltage cell is set up, we know that the anode that is going to lose electrons and that is going to corrode. So that is what is happening over here. If you want to write down, you can write down. The active metal is anode and iron becomes the cathode. As a result, the iron gets protected from oxidation. ठीक है? So if oxidation of iron is not going to take place, so the rust formation will not take place. Over here, magnesium being the anode, this gets consumed. Okay, so magnesium is consumed. Yes, after every little while you have to replace the magnesium which is being consumed so as to start the process all over again. Okay, but this is much cheaper than time and again replacing the pipes. So this is what is done to protect the underground pipes from getting rusting. Okay, then we come to a very, very important topic, which is equilibrium and electrochemical cell, from which you generally get questions sometimes. It is the concept of equilibrium in electrochemical cell. Concept of equilibrium in electrochemical cell. Now when we are talking of an electrochemical cell, let's say we had done a cell which was the Daniell cell, and the redox reaction of the Daniell cell, if you remember, that is Zn plus Cu2 positive to give us Zn2 positive plus Cu, right? This is the reaction for the Daniell cell. Now we say that at equilibrium, the reaction quotient Qc, reaction quotient is what? It is the concentration of the reactants of the products over concentration of the reactants. Okay? So Qc over here at equilibrium becomes equal to equilibrium constant K, right? So Qc, that would, for the above reaction, Qc would be given as concentration of Zn2 positive into concentration of Cu upon concentration of Cu2 positive into concentration of zinc. ठीक है, यही हो गया. So at equilibrium equilibrium we are saying that QC becomes equal to K. Therefore at equilibrium K will become equal to this, the entity which we have, the expression which we have written on the other side. Second, at equilibrium the oxidation potential of anode oxidation potential of anode, that is the negative of reduction potential of cathode, opposite and the negative sign, right? So negative. Why this is happening? Because at equilibrium rate of forward reaction becomes equal to rate of backward reaction. So if oxidation potential is positive, that will be equal to the negative reduction potential of cathode. ठीक है, ये हो गया. Then when we talking of equilibrium, EMF of the cell that will become equal to oxidation potential minus reduction potential, that is the E naught, है ना? Oxidation potential minus नहीं. If you are taking the reduction potential, then it is minus, or you can also take it as oxidation potential of anode plus oxidation potential of cathode. And what we have written over here, that oxidation potential of anode, that is equal to minus reduction potential of cathode. So in that case the EMF over here, that becomes equal to 0. Okay, so if we are now talking of this particular position where EMF of a cell that becomes equal to 0, we say that the cell is completely discharged and becomes non-operational. When EMF of the cell becomes equal to 0, then the cell that is completely discharged and it becomes non-operational. So let's now put the Nernst equation. Our Nernst equation says E cell is equal to E naught cell minus 0.059 upon N log of concentration of anode upon concentration of cathode. Okay, this is the Nernst equation. So at equilibrium now what is going to happen? We are apprehending over here that the reaction is taking at room temperature at 25 degrees Celsius. So at equilibrium what is going to happen? E cell we say that becomes equal to 0, okay, is equal to E naught cell minus 0.059 upon N log of anode upon cathode. Zn2 positive is the anode. Over here concentration of Cu is taken as unity, concentration of Zn is also taken as unity, such that this becomes concentration of Zn2 positive upon concentration of Cu2 positive. Okay. Now Zn2 positive over here, that is the anode, and Cu2 positive over here is the cathode. So K that becomes log anode upon cathode, that becomes equal to log of K, right? Or in other words we can say at equilibrium E naught cell is equal to 0.059 upon N log of K. ठीक है. Now if you want to, if in your question you are required to find K over here, K that will be equal to NT log of E naught cell into n upon 0.059, that is going to be the value of k. So this is how you can calculate what? You can calculate the value of k. Clear? This expression gives you the value of k. Then next is work done by the cell. Work done by the cell. When we are talking of work done by the cell, then we say that work that is equal to force into distance. And in case of electricity, that will be equal to charge into potential. Okay? Charge into potential, right? So charge that will be equal to number of moles into Faradays of electricity, Nf, and potential is equal to E cell, right? So we are saying that work that is equal to Nf E cell, right? Now we can also say that the maximum work done by the cell that is equal to Gibbs energy. Okay? So W maximum is equal to minus delta G, or we can put it over here minus delta G that is equal to NFE cell, or delta G is equal to minus NFE cell, right? So Gibbs free energy that is equal to minus NFE cell. If we are taking standard Gibbs energy, then how will this change? Delta G naught is equal to minus NFE naught cell. Okay? Naught over here signifies standard condition when we are taking the concentration of the reactants and the products as, or the concentration of the electrolytes in both the half cells as 1 molar. Okay? So we have taken 1 mole of concentration in both of the electrolytes, okay, and as a result of which the delta G which we are calculating over here, that is known as standards Gibbs free energy, right? Now when we are talking of heat reaction, let's combine this with thermodynamics. This we've just done the equilibrium, then we have done the delta G. We are now going to combine this. Delta G basically is an entity of thermodynamics. When we are talking of thermodynamics, we say that any reaction is spontaneous if delta G that is going to be equal to negative. यही बोलते हैं ना हम, ठीक है? So if delta G is negative, delta G in this case will be negative if E naught cell is positive. Okay, so then the reaction that is going to be spontaneous and the cell is going to be in operation. So when we are talking of heat of reaction in an electrochemical cell, let's talk of heat of reaction in an electrochemical cell. We already know that in electrochemical cell there are spontaneous reactions which are taking place in both oxidation and reduction half cells. Okay? So when we are talking of heat of reaction, we say that, let us say that N Faraday of electricity is flowing through a cell, and the EMF of the cell is represented by E. Let's say E cell. It's represented by E cell. In this case, delta G that will become equal to minus NFE cell, which we have already placed over here, discussed over here, right? But according to thermodynamics, what is the value of delta G? Delta G, according to Gibbs-Helmholtz equation, delta H plus P delta S. This is the Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. Alright. So let's write down this equation in some other form. We are saying that delta G that is equal to delta H, which is the enthalpy change, into T infinitesimally small change in delta G upon infinitesimally small change in temperature at constant pressure. So we are taking entropy in terms of delta G over here. Okay, if this is equation 1 and this is equation 2, we can put in the value of delta G over here from the above equation. Then what will we get? We will get minus NFE cell. We've taken the expression for delta G, okay? That is equal to delta H plus T into D NFE cell upon dt into at constant pressure. Okay? This is what we are going to get over here, right? Or in other words, we can say that this equation can also be written as delta H is equal to, with respect to delta H, we are now finding out the calculations over here. Delta H, that will be equal to minus NFE plus NFT dE upon dt. This is how we will get this equation at constant pressure. From this, if we calculate, we get delta H is equal to minus NFE plus NFT dE upon dt at constant pressure. Okay? This is the value of delta H. Now over here, let us take 3 cases. First case which we are taking over here is that delta E upon delta T, which we are taking over here. इसको कैपिटल में लिख लो, don't get confused. टाइम के साथ कंफ्यूज नहीं करना, कैपिटल में लिख लो. Delta E upon delta T, that is equal to 0. Then what is going to happen over here? Delta H, that will become equal to minus NFE. If this term becomes equal to 0, then the enthalpy change will equal to minus NFE. Okay? So this would be given to you in the question that dE upon dt is 0, or they will give you the value of E, they will give you the value of T, and they tell you to calculate the value of delta H. ठीक है? तो फिर वो कैसे calculate करेंगे? We know that the value of dE upon dt, if it comes to 0, in that case delta H, that will be equal to minus NFE, right? So you take the value of E, Faraday, you know 1 Faraday, that is equal to 96500, and the value of N is the number of electron exchange which is taking place. You can calculate delta H, right? Because there is no other expression to calculate the enthalpy change if we are talking of any electrochemical cell. So if they have given you the EMF of the cell, this is the manner in which you can calculate delta H, right? Second case which we are going to discuss, that is when when dE upon dt, that is greater than 0. Okay? So in this case we say that delta H is going to be greater than NFE. If this is greater than 0, this plus this will give the value of delta H a greater value. Okay? The third case which we have over here is dE upon dt is less than 0. So in that case, delta H will have a value of less than NFE. Okay, in such questions you do not have to do complete calculations. Remember, in the options you have to just see the value of delta H and compare it with the value of NFE. If the delta H, if dE upon dt is equal to 0, the value which you calculate for NFE will be the value for delta H. Right? In the second case, if dE upon dt becomes greater than 0, then the value of delta H will be greater. Out of the 4 options, the greater value will give you the value of delta H. Right? and in the next one, if dE upon dt is less than 0, then the lesser value will give you the value of delta H. Got it? So this is where we finish our lecture for today. Okay?